Sentire Media.
Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series dedicated to Venice in Italy. I'm your host, Monica Cesarato, a Venetian food and travel blogger. Join me as I share my insider knowledge to help you explore Venice at 360 degrees. In this weekly podcast, we'll dive into the heart of a city, uncovering hidden stories and connecting with the people who make Venice unique. The artisans, the writers, the fashion designers, the bloggers, the journalists, and more. Let's break free from cliché and discover the true essence of Venice, not just the monuments, but the vibrant people, the Venetians. Experience Venice the right sustainable way. You can find me on my blog at www.monicacesarato.com and across all social media platforms. Enjoy the episode and let's journey through Venice together. Welcome back to Venice Talks, Season 2, Episode 27. Hi everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Before we go ahead and listen to the new episode, let me tell you about a new feature that I am introducing on the podcast. It is aimed to all of you that have been to Venice. So, if you want the world to know what you loved about the city, your favorite moment, your favorite people, your favorite food, why don't you drop me an audio file of about 1 or 2 minutes telling me what was your favorite thing you did in Venice. You can send it on WhatsApp or you can send it via email at info@monicacesarato.com and you will be featured in one of the episodes. So keep them coming, please. Today, we're gonna hear from Debbie and her favorite moments when she came to Venice. After this, go ahead and listen to the new exciting episode of Venice Talks.
Hi Monica, it's Debbie. When Julie and I came to Venice at the beginning of this year, I think both of our favourite parts was actually your tour. It was fantastic to finally meet you in person, having known you online for so many years, catching up on our respective stories, but even more, having somebody show us different parts of Venice that we hadn't yet been to, having aperitivi, trying different drinks, meeting the owners of the various bars, and particularly having your favourite cocktail, the one with the cinnamon liqueur, which we bought a bottle of and is long finished. So that was absolutely brilliant, and I would recommend your tours to anybody who's going to Venice, whether it's the first time or the 100th time. The other thing that I think we particularly liked, we did want to see the typical tourist sites, but we got up certainly by about 6:30 each morning, and walking through the main piazzas without the tourists there was absolutely wonderful. And by the time all of the tourists were starting to arrive, we were heading off to other places. But I've always loved Venice, and I absolutely fell even more in love with it. And a large part of that is thanks to you.
Hi everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Today my special guest is a journalist, an historian, a writer, but most of all, he is a descendant on one of the most famous noble homes of Venice. He is Pieralvise Zorzi. Zorzi, scusami. I can't even pronounce your name. I'm so excited. Ciao, Pieralvise.
Hello.
I'm so sorry. I just got so excited. And thank you so much for
it's Zorzi, Zulu, Oscar, Romeo, Zulu, India.
I know how your name is. I just got so excited and I couldn't even pronounce it. Sorry, forgive me. Listen, first of all, let's explain to the people that are listening. I mean, I know who you are, and I know all Venetians know who you are, but let's explain to the rest of the world. Who is Pieralvise Zorzi?
Pieralvise Zorzi is all that you said before, and
more.
Probably more, but you never know. You have to keep it for yourself. Otherwise, people should be shocked by what they would discover. Anyway, yes, I am a descendant of one of the 24 families that founded actually Venice. My family is as old as Venice.
Wow.
Some documents we can find our name as Georgi or Georgius, which is the Latinization of Zorzi since the 9th century. which is not bad after all.
Wow. Well, first of all,
I am the descendant also of a long line of writers and historians of Venice, beginning with my grandfather and son, and not ending, because I'm continuing it, with my father, Alvise, who is still one of the most read and famous historians of Venice.
absolutely. Well, first of all, you cannot see me now because we're not doing a video, but I'm literally bowing to you first.
Oh,
Second, I want to know what is like to have such a big heritage on your shoulders, because you're not just an historian, you're history itself of Venice.
Well, it's quite heavy in a certain sense, because you feel the responsibility of having Venice on your shoulders. As we say in Italy, we are dwarves on giants' shoulders. In some way. And then we patricians, Venetian patricians, we feel the responsibility towards the city, as we always had, because as you might know, the patricians were not just like the other aristocrats that sat in their castle harassing people and getting money from them. But we were like, members of a corporate society. And so we had to invest into the city, and the city, in exchange, gave us the possibility of becoming rich with the commerce and all the other things. But every patrician Venetian was responsible for the laws, for everything that went with the well-being of the city. So we were obliged every Sunday to dress all the same in a black tunic and go into the Doge's Palace in the Grand Maggior Consiglio's hall to decide the destinies of the city and of the state. It's like as we were shareholders of a big company.
I mean, I got 1,000 questions in my head right now. I don't know where to start. Well, first of all, so every time you walk in the Doge's Palace, you can honestly say, oh, yeah, that's my great-great-great-great-grandfather. That's my great.
Yes, we had Marino Zorzi, the 50th.
So in what, before becoming writers and historians, they were merchants. What did they trade in?
They were not necessarily merchants. They were entrepreneurs also, because, for example, the Corner family had a flourishing industry of sugar. They were producing and working on sugar. And this caused also the great fire that destroyed their Ca Corner, the big one, because they had stacked some sugar that was damp, and so they had lit some fires under it to dry it, and so the whole palace took fire and was destroyed to the ground. But they built another one, much bigger and more beautiful.
And do you know, there is always this saying that we say around in Venice, Veneziano doc. What do you think about this word?
It's rather ridiculous, because it's like comparing us to a wine. In fact, it doesn't exist, a Veneziano doc. The first people that came into Venice were not the people running away from the occasional barbarian invasion, not Attila, but the Longobards, actually. Most of the real investors, I mean, the people that invested in Venice, building houses, building palaces, creating the way of commerce, creating the government, were people from every part of the known world. So there were people from Rome, from Constantinople, from the north, extreme northern Italy, almost Austria, people from every city in Italy, Mantova, Firenze, and wherever. There was also some people from the Como Lake. I mean, all these people saw in Venice an opportunity of getting together, creating the sort of aristocratic society, and making something entirely new in the history of Italy. Remember that when in the Middle Ages, the rest of Italy were governed, everything was governed by a signoria.
Yes.
Venice was a unique case in which a plurality of people had, in fact, the possession of the city and governed it. You know that in Venice there were three basic classes: the aristocrats, who had the legislative power, the cittadini originari, which could not access to the laws, but had the possibility of getting a fixed place of work in high positions like the Dogal Secretariat or the Senato or the Senate Secretariat and so on. So they were second in line, to power, but they couldn't access to the organization of the city. And then you have the people that was granted, assisted, and could work because the circular system provided they were protected, fed, and had a lot of assistance, even sanitary assistance.
Yeah. We were a clear example 1,000 years ago of free healthcare, were we?
Free what? Sorry, I didn't get
free healthcare.
Well, yes and no. The workers were united in guilds, which we called scole, and the scola itself provided this. The Doge himself was responsible for all welfare and beneficenza. How do you say that?
Charity.
Charity. Yes. Sorry, I missed the word.
Okay.
And charity. So
I wish I had your accent. You got a beautiful accent, Pieralvise.
Thank you so much. He was personally responsible for charity and welfare. And so this was a sort of a guarantee for everybody.
But, do you think that being also governing guilds and confraternities and so on is also the reason why we lasted so independent for so long, and we were also the only country that was never really under the control of a pope?
Well, because the pope was in open competition with Venice.
I know.
The pope was the biggest landowner in all Italy. And of course, he tried to expand, and we tried to expand too. So
he was our nemesis.
Constantly between alliance and war. Venice usually preferred diplomacy to war, but she didn't back when it was the moment to take up arms and so on. So, which happens many times. But funny enough, the constant competitor and sometimes enemy wasn't the Ottoman Empire, but the Pope. The Pope.
He was.
Yes, he was.
And isn't it funny? But isn't it funny? He was our competitors, and there are more than 100 churches in Venice.
Well, Venice was a Catholic city, but they refused to recognize the total power of the Pope. All the churches in Venice were under the Doge's authority.
This I didn't know. Okay.
All the churches except on one, San Giorgio Maggiore.
Okay.
And this caused a lot of problems when you had to deal with jurisdiction problems or justice problems, like what happened in 1606. Two priests were caught and were recognized criminal of normal crimes, civil crimes. Not so nice, like rape and so on. And so they were put into Venice's prison. The Pope said, give them to us because they are our persons. And the Doge said, no. They are the citizens of the Republic of Venice, so they under our jurisdiction. So the Pope was given to me, and the Doge said no. And so the Pope threw the interdict.
Oh, okay.
Venice.
One of the many.
Yes, and as usual, Venice ignored the fact. And there are many anecdotes about that.
I know.
At the end, it took the mediation of the French ambassador to get out of this swamp. The smoke in which everybody was struggling to say, I'm right, I'm not right. And so many people ask me, why did they give Giordano Bruno back to the church? Because Giordano Bruno was not a Venetian citizen.
If he was Venetian, there's no way he would have gone.
Venetian, in the sense belonging to the state, the global state of Venice, which extended up to almost 30 kilometers from Milano on one side, and on the other side, on old Dalmatia, Istria, which is now Croatia, and Albania. And
I know, it's amazing the power what Venice used to be. And isn't it interesting that even a school, Italian school themselves, we barely talk about the 1600 years history of Venice and how important Venice was for the history of the world, because so many things happened in this city and in our territories, and we talk very rarely about it. Isn't it funny?
Well, and it's not funny, it's tragic.
Yeah, okay. I mean, funny, you know what I'm trying to say.
Understandable, because the school system was built under the unification of Italy. So the strategy was trying to talk about a global Italy and not the glory of single parts of it.
Of course, because otherwise everybody would have realized how good the Venetians were.
The Venetians, or the Pope, or the state of the Pope, the state of the Church was conquered by force. It's not, Venice is not the only case, but the state of the Church was conquered with force, and then reduced to a small town. The Pope has jurisdiction now on a small town, but once the popes have changed the history of the world exactly like Venice had. So the fact is, the system of communication of the modern school, and I'm meaning the school after 1870, is we are all one nation, and we don't have eminent things that could, how do you say, that could turn the young people's head away from the newborn state.
Yeah, I am so happy you're saying this, because I've been thinking this thing on my own in my head for so many years. I never said it out, well, I did say out loud with some clients, but never generally with people. But I always thought about this, and I'm glad that you confirm what I always thought, because I realized how can we not talk about it? There's so much to say about Venice, and so little is known.
Venice is probably the most written city in the world. I don't know how many histories of Venice written by Venetians, Italians, English people, Americans, and so on. I think more than 60 histories of Venice written since the 14th century to today. So Venice is very much written about, probably more than any other city-state in the world.
But Venice not actually taught. That's a problem. Listen.
No, it's not taught, but why should it be? I mean, the people must go and find out their information. Why I came from an advertising guru, I became again an historian, not only for family tradition, but because I was really interested. So I had to study by myself. My father taught me whatever he knew, and that was very much. But I grew up at bread and Venice. But apart from that...
But as I got to say, it's a beautiful way of growing up.
I had to study. I'm continuously studying things. Whenever I give a conference or write an article, I study again. So it's a matter of being interested in something. If you're interested, something, you study it, you go out and find documents. And today, with the net, it's easier to find out things. Once you had to close yourself into a library or archive and stay there for days, shuffling between pieces of parchment or paper written in an ununderstandable way. Some parchments are written like the, physician's recipes, which are absolutely receipts. I mean, absolutely unreadable. But today, one who wants to form himself an idea of the history of Venice has a lot of means to get it. So don't always expect to be taught by somebody.
Okay.
If you want to know something,
but I was talking more younger people, right? Obviously, older we need
have to be taught the history of Italy, which begins with the Romans and goes on with the fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, that's true.
Somewhere the formation of, I think that Italy existed before Italy existed. There's not only a calembour, but before Metternich said Italy is just a geographic expression. In one sense, he was right, but in the other sense, Italy was a cultural expression. In the 13th, 14th, 15th century, there was a circulation of ideas, of artists, of writers, and whatevers around Italy. They didn't stay in one city, but went around. So there was a global mental Italy, an Italy global brain, an Italian global brain around. And this is the real thing that has not been taught, and this is very dangerous. They teach you the Romans, and then since the unification of Italy from 1848 to 1870, and the rest is forgotten. What was in the middle of it, amidst it, it's totally forgotten. This is the stupidity, not teaching about Venice. Then you have to talk about Genova, talk about Venice. And you have to talk about Milano, the wars with Milano and Firenze. You have to talk about the Ottoman Empire, of course. You can. So the program of the school would be enormous. So they give a basic thing. What should be done? Probably it's a way of go deeper into it from a certain age on.
Yeah, like we used to be back in my days, at least. But one thing as I was reading about your things is that you talk about Venice, about being one of the best marketing operations in the world.
Venice's myth is one of the best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant, yeah.
I mean, there are so many legends and myths about Venice that were reunited under the dogado of Andrea Dandolo, who was a very young doge. He was 33 when he went up to the doge's seat, and he was an electoral even for the 14th century. And he spoke 4 languages: Latin, Veneziano, Vulgar, and I think also French and so on. Anyway, the French, le langue d'oil, the French. And this doge was really the marketing chief of Venice, because he reunited all the legends, put something more in the ones that were lacking something, made some research, and created the myth of Venice, and also invented the official historiography.
Okay.
Since him, there were official historiographers for Venice that had to pass through a control.
Okay. So starting from the date of his birth,
Also, we are still in the Middle Ages, in which the symbols are very important, and the coming up to the doge's seat of Andrea Dandolo coincides with the coming of the lion into Venice, because before 1265 there was no lion. The lion didn't exist.
I didn't know this.
Banners had a cross on it because they were given to Venice by the Pope Alexander III in occasion of the Peace of Venice with the Emperor. Remember that at those times, the greatest authorities, the ones who could create princes and counts and whatsoever, were only the Pope and the Emperor. And they were shocked when they discovered that the aristocrats in Venice considered themselves nobles, even without having been invested of some title by the Pope or Emperor. The Patrizio Veneto has no land, so it goes outside the traditional pyramid of aristocrats, from the king, the prince, the duke, marquis, the count, the baron, counts, and so on. It has no land, and so it can't stick its title to a big or small piece of land. They are all equal and all owners of Venice. They chose to let themselves be known as Nobilis Homo, Nobil Donna, Veneto Patrician.
Okay. And then they start having some of the titles later when they married, as maybe I'm saying something wrong, but when they start marrying with from people from outside of Venice, right? To get the titles, yes?
No. Apart from the fact that the titles are given to men,
okay,
and not women.
Okay.
The women in Venice were born nobildonna in the aristocracy. I mean, they were born nobildonna. You got some time after the fall of Venice. They were recognized as counts, courtiers.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's what happened.
Conferred by the emperor. Francesco I.
Okay, got you now.
You could have titles outside Venice, but inside the city you could not. I mean, if you had some acres of land somewhere of which you were count or marquis, you could be count or marquis there. Once back in Venice, your title didn't count anything.
Interesting. So you go back to being just like
Venice
everybody else.
Had this enormous long life because of two things: harmony and independence. Harmony between all the people that lived into it, and independence from every other power.
So back to...
sorry, I have to tell you one funny thing.
Yeah, go.
There was the Venice ambassador in Rome that was taken by his lapels by Pope Borgia, Alexander VI, I think he was, and who asked, where is it written that the Adriatic Sea should be called Gulf of Venice? And the ambassador answered, on the back page of the Constantine's donation.
Oh, okay.
Constantine's donation is a document entirely false. So the one that gives to the popes temporal powers, I mean, powers. And so he got the right answer.
But it's so interesting about the lion, because I don't know if you saw the article that's going around in the last few days that they say that a lion in St. Mark's Square, the one on top of the column, supposed to come from China. So it actually
could be.
It could be.
Could be, could not be, who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Just an archaeological curiosity. But the symbol of the lion has a very long story, because it comes from the tetramorpho that goes back to the 4th century before Christ, and then it's recognized as symbol of the gospel writers, the evangelists, in the 5th or 6th century after Christ. And so the tetramorpho, it's one symbol made of 4 animals.
Yeah, because the lion of Venice is not really a lion, is it?
St. Mark's, the eagle, the St. Matthew is the ox, the eagle is St. John, and I can't remember the other evangelist, St.
Isn't he the bull or something?
No, there's the bull.
Oh, the ox, you said it. Oh, I can never remember.
Bull, l'aquila, il leone, e poi... the man, the angel, yes.
Okay, yes. I can never remember either. I'm not good Catholic, sorry.
Tetramorpho means 4 shapes.
Okay.
The origin of St. Mark's lion, which is always the lion with the book, with its gospel. And the words written there were totally invented by the Doge. All the legend about the angel appearing, saying Pax tibi Marce, peace, Mark, my evangelist, were invented by the Doge Andrea Dandolo to create some sort of fidelity to St. Mark's, because it's written, peace to you, Mark, my evangelist. My evangelist, in this sense, is not anymore the angel's evangelist or God's evangelist. It's the evangelist of the city. It's mine.
Of course.
It's evangelist of mine. It's not my evangelist. And that created the incredible attachment that every Venetian has to the lion of St. Mark, to St. Mark's lion.
I wonder how many of the legend that we take for real are actually just legend.
But most of the legends are based on something real. Sometimes you discover that the legend is true, and it's even more. In example, remember the story of how they stole St. Mark's relics.
Yes.
In Alexandria. Yes. The legend: a ship of merchants was driven by a tempest in the port. No, it was an expedition of commandos sent by the Doge Agnello Parteciaco,
Ah, okay.
which is more fascinating than the ship sent by the tempest. Much more
Okay.
fascinating. Venice needed a new saint, a new patron, because the one they had was a Byzantine saint.
Ah, okay.
San
Didn't
Teodoro,
suit the city of Venice anymore.
San Teodoro Strateletes. And then we had a problem with the Frank Empire because they sustained the Patriarchate of Aquileia in competition with the Patriarchate of Grado, which was more Venice-oriented. So we needed something strong to juxtapose to this. And there was also a council in Mantova funded by the emperor, so very partial to it. And so they decided to get the most powerful saint available at the moment. And they decided on St. Mark for a lot of reasons. First, St. Mark had seen Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He was the favorite disciple of Saint Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Said in the Acts of the Apostles that the San Marcos gospel is in reality was dictated by Saint Peter's.
Mm.
Saint Peter. And that's very strong. And that he was the first one who founded a bishopric in Aquileia.
Mm.
And which, by the way, we have the bishop and his acolyte, they were martyrized, and now they are in Venice too. And then he went down to Alessandria, so it was a perfect saint.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a trick they did. So they took these relics, they brought it to Venice, and instead of stopping at the bishopric, the ship went directly to the Doge's palace.
So the bishop place was in Castello, right?
Olivolo, yes, Castello.
Yeah.
And so they went directly to the Doge's palace, and the bones were accepted. San Marco was accepted as the patron and the lord of the city.
Uh-huh.
So San Marco was the lord of the city, the princeps, the lord, and the Doge was his representative on earth.
So the story
exactly the Christian system in Rome.
Uh-huh. But the story that they hid underneath all the pork meat and stuff like that was
they had to do that to get him out of Alexander.
Yeah, but that's true. That's not legend.
Under the Caliph of Egypt.
Ah, see, it's so interesting.
You might ask if it was Muslim, why the pork? Because there was a huge community of Christian Copt.
Ah, okay. Didn't realize that. Okay. Oh, this the thing that you discover is so. I mean, the more you read about Venice,
the reality is much more interesting.
I know. I always say we should do a film, like a series, like a Netflix series about Venice. I always say that. Listen,
the only problem I try to convince them is say they need some sex scenes, possibly interracial sex scenes, homosexual interracial sex scenes.
Oh, you just wrote something about the first gay.
Complicated thing.
You actually wrote, was it yesterday, today, that you wrote something about the first gay in Venice? Oh, the first gay.
Yes, the first gay performer in Venice.
Yeah, the first gay performer. Oh, come on, spill the beans about this one.
Tommaso Sgricci. Tommaso Sgricci had the capacity to improvise poems and tragedies in 3 acts from a theme given by the audience.
Wow.
He was very gay, and the 19th century was the only century in which the gay could come to Venice, because before they were prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at a certain level, the thing was put under silence, but especially the aggressive gays, or the gays that were caught in the act, were hanged and burned.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Thing, because it was considered not a crime against nature, but a crime against the law of Christ and against the reproduction.
Oh, of course, they need the citizens of Venice, of course.
Yes, it's funny because they were very much advanced in some things, and the other things they were. I think that it was just not to get in trouble with the Inquisition,
Yeah.
which caused a lot of trouble all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, so he came to Venice in the 19th century and had an enormous success.
Wow. Okay.
Enormous success in Italy. Went on tour in Italy, in Naples,
Oh.
in Rome, in Florence. He was a Florentine. From Arezzo he was.
Okay. Well,
In
Tuscany.
Rome, he had to be crowned with the crown of poets, but he wasn't, because probably he had an affair with a cardinal, and so he was thrown out of the city. Oops.
Oops. So, Pieralvise, the other day when I asked you to be on the podcast, I've asked you if we could talk about what Venice used to be like. And I said 10 years ago, you said, oh, let's do 40. Okay.
No, but I'm
like 40, and what was it like
I'm
10 years?
my age. But,
Well, 40, you were only a baby.
Not really, I'm afraid. Not really. 40, I was in the age of running after ladies.
Oh, okay.
Not into that, actually. But the fact is, there were less tourists, richer tourists.
Yes, different tourists. That was, I think, that's the point.
Richer, because they went into hotels, they went into good restaurants and so on. Discerning tourists, you might find them in some dirty but very traditional trattoria, because I got the hint from somebody. Tourists that went into churches, museums, and so on, instead of getting selfies in Piazza San Marco or some other. I saw the scene. I told you that there were some people leaving their drinks and so on, the finished drinks on the table, and suddenly two girls appear from nothing, sit at the still dirty table, and take a selfie of themselves.
That is so sad. That is just so
The
sad.
saddest thing is this religion of appearing.
Yes.
So the tourism was another thing. I don't think that everybody was so intelligent and cultured, but there were lots of them, and they didn't stop you saying, "Scusi, where is the place of the Duomo?" Instead of San Marco saying in Milano, you are in the wrong city.
I think also they stayed longer. No?
I don't know. I don't really know. I think that the culture. And also a system of culture which is everything for everyone has been ruining tourism through the years. The open access to everything and not telling people that they can do something else and instead of loitering in Piazza San Marco. The city has an enormous offer of everything. I mean, wherever you go, you've got some Titian to be seen, or Tintoretto, or Veronese, somewhere else. I mean, every church has something to be seen. There are lots of beautiful museums to be seen, even small museum, even the Querini Stampaglia, which is not a museum, something else, but you could go inside and see. I was inside. The museum of the 18th century, Carezzonico, is fantastic. It's beautiful.
I love Palazzo Grimani. I love Palazzo Grimani.
It didn't exist at those times. All the statues were in the Galleria.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right. Yeah.
It's going to see the Biblioteca Marciana. But when sticking your nose inside the Biblioteca to see how it's done, because people did this, went to the discovery of Venice, went discovering Venice, not on the same places, always in the same places.
Yeah.
Staying there, drinking, screaming, drinking again, and re-screaming. I'm not saying that I didn't drink.
No, we do. Even now.
They drink quite a lot.
Hey, we're Venetian.
Well, yes, but it's not a matter of Venetian, because...
Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't think
it's in the DNA, come on.
You didn't have to drive to go home. You just had to go on your fours to go home, but not smash yourself against the wall. Also, the wine was very good. Still is, but then it was cheaper.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. The best definitely was. In the last 10 years, it's gone so much higher.
The city had the same configuration that you find in winter sometimes. You know everybody, you meet everybody, friends, enemies, and so on. You go to the bus, they know you, everybody knows. There were more shops and less supermarkets.
Yes.
The supermarket was something incredible, exceptional, like in the land, but in the mainland, I mean. But everything was much more familiar, was much more town-like,
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
city-like.
And did you do also like all the other Venetians? From which sestiere are you from?
Cannaregio.
Okay. Did you do like all the others where you just stayed in your sestiere and you never ventured out, or
Oh no, I ventured everywhere.
you ventured?
Friends
Because
everywhere.
it's so funny sometimes I speak to some Venetian and I go like, "Oh, where are you from? Mount Castello. Oh, you know this
I
person
had
in
friends.
Cannaregio.
I
I
had
don't
friends
move
in
from
San
Castello."
Paolo. I had friends in San Paolo, other friends in San Marco, other friends in Castello, other in
Oh, you always had your passport with you then, did you?
No. But what you say is funny because when two Venetian meet somewhere in Alaska, I don't know, and they recognize from the accent the other is Venetian, to say, "Are you Venetian?" Yes. And from where?
Yeah.
Second question.
Yes. And the moment you say that you're from the mainland, they go, "Oh, but you're not Venetian."
I'm not. You're from Mestre.
Campania.
Country, Campania, country.
Wait, Mestre, if you say you're even 5 kilometers from me, the sea, forget it, is another world.
Yes, Paris is Campania, is country. Rome is country.
New York or
But
something
this
like
is
that.
a funny thing. This is one of the stupid things the Venetian do. But the city, how was the city? The city was more livable in some way. We young people, we had access to more things, and also we did these fantastic parties without having to dress up like in carnival. It was not carnival, and I don't know what else was different. Probably because the most different thing is that we were young.
Well, I don't know. I see, for example, one thing. I mean, the last couple of years it's changed a little bit, but for a while, I couldn't see any kids around. I just didn't see any kids around. Now it's a bit different. I see again, new families with kids and stuff. It was a certain period.
I was around with many other kids. I also fell with my bicycle into the Canale della Giudecca.
Really?
Was fished out at the last second. The bicycle is still there, I think.
With a million other bicycles from all the other kids that fell in the water.
The real big difference is that Venice was a safe city.
Yes.
For the safest city in the world. You could walk with your gold bracelet or your gold Rolex, which I didn't have, but I had a steel Rolex. And nobody looked at you. I remember beautiful girls going home at 2:00 in the morning. Nobody throwing not even a look to them.
Now it's a bit different. I mean, it's not so bad, but
no, it's very bad today. It's very bad. You get people
lots of pickpockets
trying to get your watch in the night. An elderly lady of the Loredan family had her finger broken to get a ring she had.
Oh la la! Didn't know about this. Oh wow! Yeah, unfortunately,
much worse.
Yeah,
I have to say that without a shadow of doubt.
Oh no! I totally agree.
It's dangerous as it was in the 17th century, in which you had to go around with a couple of bravos with you.
Oh, okay.
To protect you, and probably with a sword on your side, just to be sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now I look behind my shoulders every time.
Hey, Pieralvise, we should start a new business, bodyguarding.
I'm too old to be bodyguarding, and I'm in the age.
Oh, but hey, you manage it. We can manage it. We get the young people to do it. Listen, Pieralvise, it's so nice talking to you. By the way, where do you have a website?
I do not have a website.
You do not have a website?
No.
My God. You're talking about marketing and everything, and you do not
I'm out of it since lots of years.
Okay. But people can find your books all over Amazon?
Yes, I would say so.
Pretty much.
If you Google me, you'll find me.
Oh, I know.
On Facebook, you'll find me. I'm an old man, so I'm on Facebook and not on Instagram.
And I want to know.
Yes.
How did you get this beautiful English accent?
It's a long story.
Can you shorten it in 1 minute?
No, yes. Many years ago, I was working in advertising. So before working in advertising, I went the families used to send their children, good families had the habit of sending the children when they got 18, either to London or to Paris. I mean, either England or France.
Or France.
To get some experience.
Yeah, of course.
Quote. and to learn better the language they had learned in school. I had learned English in school, and I had to wipe off an awful Irish accent I had because I've studied in the Christian Brothers school, and so I had that Irish accent. I spoke like a way.
But can I just say, it sounds. Listen, it sounds like a drunken Venetian.
Yes, a little bit. And then the differences in Irish, you have the R.
Yeah, right? Of course. Yeah.
And I remember our English teacher said, who was teaching us Shakespeare.
Oh yeah. I love Irish, by the way.
Countrymen, lend me your ears. Yeah. Instead of friends, Roman countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar. No.
Oh la la.
Okay.
And then you got.
Anyway, so I went to England. I fell in love with a girl in Cambridge.
See.
Also, a very interesting thing. You know when the Japanese, the Buddhists, or they say I have been illuminated.
Yes.
Enlightened.
Okay.
I discovered in the same moment Monty Python Flying Circus, sex, and marijuana. So in that moment, I was enlightened.
Now, all I can say is
I was 18, which is the most.
Listen, my English teachers always said to me, the only way for you to learn another language is to find yourself a boyfriend that speaks that language. Unfortunately for myself, back then I married the boyfriend, unfortunately. But I always say when he left me with 2 beautiful sons and an accent. And I'll take it. That's fine. Okay, Pieralvise, it was so nice talking to you. Can people follow on social media, or you rather not?
What can people follow me on social media?
Yes, can they follow on social media?
Yes, they can at their own risk. I mean,
where can they find you? You're on Facebook?
They can find me on Facebook, of course.
Okay.
The Boomers Square.
The Boomers. The Gen Z as well. Yeah. Okay, listen, it was so nice talking to you so much. Thank you for the laugh and for the beautiful information. And I can't wait. When's your next book coming out?
Probably in December or January.
Oh, good. Okay. I got to looking out for that one then. Okay, I got all of the others. So waiting for the next one then.
Another interview in December, so I can.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Is it going to be in English or just in Italian?
No, in Italian. There is a certain problem in translating history books in English.
Don't tell me. It's not just history book. It's everything to translate from Italian to
English. They're translating every stupid thing, like all those criminal things and whatsoever. Now, if you want to sell a book, you have to put sex and killings into it.
Well, you should do it. You should have a history book and one chapter dedicated to sex.
I prefer doing it instead of...
Okay, this podcast is getting X-rated right now. Better stop it here. Okay, speak to you soon. Thank you so much for talking to us. Ciao.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you again, Pieralvise, for this wonderful and fun chat. You can find Pieralvise Zorzi on Facebook. Thank you again for listening. Venice Talks podcast is a production of Sentire Media, created, produced and hosted by me, Monica Cesarato. Follow Venice Talks wherever you get your podcast, and if you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me over at www.monicacesarato.com and on all social medias with the handle @monicacesarato, where you can follow my adventures around Venice. And don't forget, if you love this episode, please rate it and leave a review. It's very much appreciated.
Sentire Media.
Hey
Hey, podcast producers and show hosts. Do you want to join a podcast network that celebrates all things Italian? At Sentire Media, we understand the allure of Italy and its unique culture. Our devoted team of hosts and producers are all driven by their shared passion for Italy. And we work tirelessly to create the best lifestyle podcasts and content that will whisk you away to the very heart of Italy. With us, you can savor the mouth-watering flavors, get lost in the stories from the past, break down the cultural barriers, and truly immerse yourself in the vibrant traditions of this intoxicating country. If you have a great podcast idea or are already in production and would like to join Sentire Media, head over to sentiremedia.com, that's SENTIRE media.com, and find out how to submit your show.